Hello, you're watching News Mongolia on MNB World and I'm your host, Jarashma Tufshinjargar. On the News Mongolia today, Tourism Week 2025 has begun. The National Youth Chess Championships have begun. The Mongolian-Uzbek Intergovernmental Commission on Trade, Economic, Scientific and Technical Cooperation held its inaugural meeting. For the news, stay tuned. Tourism Week 2025 kicked off yesterday. The government of Mongolia has designated the tourism sector as a leading economic priority and extended the initiative for the years to visit Mongolia until 2028. As part of this effort, the National Tourism Conference is taking place. This marks the second year of the event. Additionally, Mongolia's promotional campaigns will be conducted in 6 countries this year.
We are organizing Tourism Week for the second year. Last year, the focus was on tourism marketing, how to promote Mongolia internationally, introduce the Go Mongolia brand, and maximize its benefits. This year, the emphasis is on regional tourism development. Mongolia has identified 6 key tourism sectors, and building on last year's branding success, a record 800,000 tourists visited, generating about $1.1 billion in revenue. While attracting tourists is no longer a challenge, the priority is now distributing them across key sectors, improving infrastructure, and developing accommodation. Strengthening these aspects is crucial to reaching the long-term goal of 2 million visitors. Additionally, we must reduce seasonal dependency. Currently, the summer months see a high influx of tourists, but accommodation shortages remain a pressing issue. Expanding tourism year-round will help sustain growth and balance visitor numbers across all seasons. Mongolian tour operators actively participate in numerous international exhibitions and fairs to increase the number of tourists coming to Mongolia. Over the past 2 years, the number of exhibitions has been growing thanks to strong support from the government and the Ministry of Culture, Sports, Tourism, and Youth of Mongolia. In 2025, while we used to participate in 5 to 6 international exhibitions, this year the number has increased to 9. As part of the Go Mongolia campaign to promote Mongolia, we will be holding events in 6 countries. With these efforts, we are targeting an increase in the number of tourists with plans for 1 million visitors by the end of 2025. Additionally, starting in 2025, cross-border tourism will be introduced, aiming to develop tourism in remote areas and provide local businesses, as well as residents and herders, with new income opportunities. This new initiative will help bring more revenue to those living in border regions, while expanding tourism in previously underserved areas.
The National Youth Chess Championships have begun, bringing together top young players from across Mongolia. Over 60 clubs are competing for national titles and a chance to represent the country internationally. Opened by Chess Federation President Zandarshatar, the event sets a new standard for Mongolia's chess scene. At the National Youth Chess Championship, young chess players from all 21 provinces of Mongolia, the 9 districts of Ulaanbaatar, and over 60 clubs are competing, testing their intellectual abilities. The tournament was opened by the president of the Mongolian Chess Federation, Zandarshatar, with distinguished guests and representatives in attendance. During the opening ceremony, the vice president of the Mongolian Chess Federation awarded a certificate of recognition to Sarol, deputy head of the government secretariat.
This year, we aim to establish and institutionalize the rules, ensuring that we execute our traditional tasks with the highest quality. We are organizing Mongolia's National Youth Chess Championship as a full team in a new setting, aligning it with global standards. All members and leaders of the Federation are working together for the greater good to enhance the chess skills of future generations, promote intellectual sports, and expand its reach in Mongolia. This tournament, which started back in 1954, is now being organized under the new leadership and structure of the Mongolian Chess Federation. We are preparing at a high level to align with international standards for continental and world championships qualifiers. The tablecloth, chess sets, and clocks are all brand new, meeting 100% international standards. The tournament is uniquely organized by a team of about 50 people, including event organizers, judges, and volunteers.
The championship will continue from February 10th to 16th, with boys and girls competing in 6 age categories: 7 to 8, 9 to 10, 11 to 12, 13 to 14, 15 to 16, and 17 to 18 years old. The top 3 players in each category will qualify for the World Youth Chess Championships, the Asian Youth Chess Championships, and the East Asian Championships. Now let's take a look at Mongolian current affairs. The inaugural meeting of the Mongolian-Uzbek Intergovernmental Commission on Trade, Economic, Scientific, and Technical Cooperation took place from February 7th to 8th in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. The meeting was co-chaired by Deputy Prime Minister of Mongolia Amir Sehan and Deputy Prime Minister for Trade and Investment of Uzbekistan Jamshid Hodshayev. Both sides agreed to strengthen their efforts to increase the export and supply of agricultural products to the Uzbek market, including leather, hide, wool, and cashmere. They also decided to organize the Made in Uzbekistan exhibition in Ulaanbaatar later this year. The parties emphasized the importance of advancing cooperation in the road and transport sectors, with flights between Ulaanbaatar and Tashkent scheduled to begin in the second half of the year. They agreed to hold the first meeting of the Joint Committee on Roads and Transport between Mongolia and Uzbekistan, and to establish a new road corridor and routes connecting the two countries. The two sides also agreed to expand collaboration in energy and mining, particularly in geological research, exploration, extraction, processing, and mineral enrichment. Renewable and green energy were highlighted as priority areas for the future cooperation. Both countries decided to strengthen cooperation in education, culture, science, and technology, and to work together to implement Mongolia's 1 billion trees campaign in alignment with Uzbekistan's Green Space project. Internationally recognized boxer and honored athlete of Mongolia, Tint Batar, will defend his World Boxing Association Continental North American lightweight title in his home country for the first time. Night of Champions, Ulaanbaatar 2025 is set to take place on February 25th at Asa Arena. A major highlight of the event is the participation of Olympic and World Championship silver medalist Tukstocht. Since entering professional boxing in 2015, Tukstocht has had 15 fights with 12 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw. For the main event, the top 6 Mongolian boxers in each weight class will compete against 6 internationally ranked professional boxers. Here is the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Next, our program will turn our attention to foreign news, partnered with international news agencies. U.S. President Donald Trump said he agreed to consider a tariff exemption on Australian steel and aluminum imports after a telephone call on Tuesday with Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese.
Speaking to the media in Canberra on Tuesday, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said he had urged the U.S. for an exemption from newly announced steel and aluminum tariffs. During a scheduled call, U.S. President Donald Trump acknowledged that an exemption was under consideration in the interest of both countries. Australia previously had an exemption during Trump's first administration.
On tariffs, we discussed Australia's position when it comes to tariffs, particularly with regard to steel and aluminium. We have, of course, US has a trade surplus with Australia that it's had since the Truman administration. It's about 2 to 1 when it comes to trade between our two countries. The US is an important investor, of course, here in Australia as well. When you look at the imports of these products into the US, it's about 1% of imports of steel, 2% of aluminium. Our steel is an important input for US manufacturing. BlueScope is the US 5th largest steelmaker. They've invested $5 billion in the US across a range of states. I think there's more than 30 different investments there. And of course, the major export is Colorbond there for roofs in California on the west coast, and it plays an important role. Aluminium is a critical input for downstream manufacturing in the United States, and our steel and aluminium are both key inputs for the US-Australia defence industries in both of our countries. I presented Australia's case for an exemption, and we agreed on wording to say publicly, which is that the US President agreed that an exemption was under consideration in the interests of both of our countries.
Albanese argued that Australia has run a trade deficit with the US since the mid-20th century and has only a minor share of the US market. He also highlighted that Australian steelmaker BlueScope employs thousands of American workers. Trump cited the US trade surplus with Australia as a reason for considering the exemption.
What I envisage is continuing to respond diplomatically. That's how you get things done. My government's got a record of getting things done in Australia's national interest. I'll continue to do so. I've made very explicit, I said to President Trump that this was an issue of some media coverage in Australia, and that we therefore agreed on the words that would be used, that it was under consideration. That's what I'll stick to, but we'll continue to engage quite clearly constructively. But can I say this? It was a very constructive and warm discussion, again, with President Trump. We spoke about a range of other things as well, including the fact that Jordan Mailata is a Super Bowl champion, and I did point out that he was a South Sydney junior. It was very important, and it was very constructive.
Albanese also raised the AUKUS submarine deal originally agreed upon with Joe Biden's administration. Meanwhile, Trump plans to reset U.S. import taxes to match tariffs imposed by other nations, adding to existing 10% tariffs on China and planned tariffs on Canada and Mexico, which are suspended until March 1st. This was Albanese's second call with Trump since his election.
Alright, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Goodbye.